Today's guest is Zulq Malik. He's the Chief Happiness Officer at SMARTBUILD Construction Solutions. All right, Zulq, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Do you want me to go by Tats or Tatsuya? How do you want me to
Tats
go?
is good. Tats is
Tats
good.
is
I
good.
just try to make it easy. I think you do too, right? You kind of shorten it just for that purpose.
We can talk about the struggles of immigrant children and their parents giving us authentic origin names and then going, how are these kids going to say it? So
Yeah, the creativity is endless.
yeah, and I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna show my age and my gray hair. In 1973 Canada, what my parents were thinking to name me Zulkarnain Shafiq Malik is beyond my comprehension. But I will say that with names have meanings, and a lot of people don't realize that a lot of Asiatic and Arabic rooted names have a deeper origin and a deeper meaning. And anytime I run into somebody who's got an Arabic descent, even Hebrew for that matter, when they see my name, like, do you know what your name means? Like, yeah, do you know the significance of your name? Yeah, I do know that. So, and
So
I'm sure
give me
the
the
same
give me the
happened.
thumbnail. Give me the thumbnail in your name.
So my name means the one with two horns.
Okay.
And there's a conflict in argument to saying, does it refer to Cyrus the Great or Cyrus of Persia or Alexander the Great? But under Hebrew and a lot of the Hebrew teachings, it was a leader that separated the children of Israelite and protected them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's got very biblical terms, but really it's meant for strong characters and strong-willed individuals. And to get through construction, which I guess you're also in this space, when you don't look like everyone else and you don't act like everyone else and you're not like everyone else, it was a fitting name that I didn't know at the time when I was given it, even up until I was in my late teens, going, "Hey, it's a fitting name." So
Yeah.
put
I
my
mean,
head down, charge through it.
sure. Um, were you born in Canada?
Born and raised Toronto. I mean, you're out in BC.
Yeah, yeah. I was 3 when I came from Japan.
Oh, very nice. It's on my bucket list to get to Japan. We have it slated for my 60th birthday, but we might be rolling it down to my 55th. So my ideal 60th birthday is six of my closest friends, six countries, 6 weeks,
I like that. I like
right?
that with yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
You're a planner.
No, I'm not a planner at all. I free sail, but to get five of your other buddies to be able to pull off for 6 weeks, first of all, we know it's impossible because every one of my buddies is married, but there's a chance they might get divorced between now and then. So then we might be single. So anything's up in the air at that point in time.
So you gotta create a theme, you gotta market it, all in advance. It sounds like a project in itself.
I picked Japan.
Yeah.
My buddy picked Thailand. One of our other buddies just jumped on. He says, "I'm saying Turkey." I'm like, "Done. Where I'm in." So we're like, but nobody can pick like any ethnic origin countries. They can't pick those. So like my Italian friend can't pick Italy, but my Turkish friend can pick Italy. So that's the deal.
Got
The
it.
conversation started just shortly after coming back from Europe at the end of the summer. I'm like, guys, why are we working so hard?
I wa
So
I wanna go back to that point, but you started a construction company in 2005.
yeah,
What did you do before that?
I would say golf more than I did now, but I have an interesting background. I have a degree in engineering.
Yeah,
After I graduated, I had the chance to go do an internship in the United States, where I worked for Department of Interior as an
yeah.
intern.
Whereabouts?
Washington, D.C. I was in the federal
Okay.
government in the U.S. Don't know how I stumbled onto it, but partly it was because I wrote a thesis that got published. So I was fortunate from that perspective that I got to land into D.C. My boss was a direct appointee from at that time Bill Clinton. So depending on your politics, you may or may not like him. Whatever. It was a great exposure coming right out of school, where you've been taught academically how to navigate through school. And then all of a sudden, I was supposed to be doing research with the EPA, and I get landed into Department of Interior, and I was working for the Office of Environmental Policy and Compliance.
Okay.
There's not a single course like that in engineering. So I got landed right in the middle of them writing policy for the environmental auditing procedures. So we used to run the hazmat fund, and in the hazmat fund, we basically gave money for cleanup for stuff that industry is left behind, or the Department of Defense is left behind, where we had to go and remediate sites. So we had an operating budget of $11 billion back in that day, so $110 billion today. And people, we would write up proposals, we do research, and we would approve proposals from people to say, "Hey, we need cleanup money." So we were taking brownfield projects and turning them into greenfield in some instances in the inner cities.
Wow. What?
Had the chance to meet with Bill Clinton more than once, Al Gore once a month, um, and so it kind of gave me a certain element of confidence of saying, "Hey, at the end of the day, regardless of the position and the title they hold, we're all just humans." And it gave you a chance to say, "I'm not going to be scared to speak up my voice." I came back for family reasons to Toronto. My father wasn't well, and he politely asked me. I can remember, like, the phone call happened yesterday. It was a Thursday morning, and he goes, "Hey, when are you coming home next to visit?" I'm like, "No plans. Why? What's up, Dad?" And he's like, "Nothing. I just want to talk to you when you come home next." I'm like, something suspect." And you've got an Asian background, so we're close to our families. And so I called him at the end of the day. I said, "I'm flying in tomorrow night. Pick me up at the airport, Dad." And he's like, "No, no, no. Get one of your friends to pick you up. I don't pick you up at the airport." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I got home late Friday night. Ended up partying with my buddies. Saturday morning, I get up in the morning, and my dad's like, he goes, "Oh, let's go out for breakfast." I'm like, "I eat out every day, 3 times a day. I eat out. I want mom to cook me a meal. It's not complicated, right?" "No, we're going for breakfast." I'm like, "But I really want mom to cook me breakfast." He's like, "No, I want to talk to you." I'm like, "All right." So we go for breakfast. And he explained to me, he goes, "Listen, my dialysis is getting worse." He goes, "This is more pressure for your mom. Me, I don't care. Leave me on the street. I'm good to go. But if you could think about coming back closer to home, because your mom's going to need the support." He goes, "Don't come for me. You come for your mother." And I'm like, "Oof, okay." And honestly, I had no aspirations of coming back to Canada ever. I was going from the United States to Mexico, if anything. I keep working on my tan. And for the people watching this, I am actually tanned right now. But um, and when my renewal came up in late October, because this happened in August, and they said, "Oh, Mr. Malik, we've already renewed you. Your security credentials are cleared." I was cleared to meet with the president of the United States, so I had high level clearance. And they basically, I think I'm going home." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going home." And he's like, "Okay, we'll keep your security clearance valid. So when you want to return, you can return." So it was good for 10 years. And I'm like, "Okay, but yeah, I'm going home." So I came home. I ended up working for a developer, no construction background. So, I mean, I have a degree in civil engineering, but that doesn't mean squat. Got a job for a developer as a lowly project coordinator. I still in touch with all the guys I worked with, and worked my way up the ranks. So I had to learn how to do takeoffs. I had to learn all the stuff they never taught you in engineering school of how to actually practically implement the design that you would come up with strategically. Got into construction. I was in there for a couple. I was in there for a couple of months where I said, "I'm going to have my own construction company," and they all said, "No, no, you can't have your own because it's really hard work and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "You idiots can figure it out. I surely can figure it out." So I was always one of those people that said, "You can't do that." I'm like, "Really? Watch me."
Watch me. Yeah. Extra
So
motivation.
yeah, I was motivated by people saying no to me. Um, Except for girls. If they said no, like whatever, move on. Uh, but yeah, it was like, okay. So I actually said, okay, I'm going to chart a path. So I was working for a developer that had a whole lot of office and industrial real estate, and space that we'd have to build out. And then I'm like, yeah, this is kind of boring. Ended up working for a general contractor that did a little bit more than just that. And then I went to a heavy civil contractor. Got a lot of experience there. I had a great time working for them. I'm not going to name any names because some of them are national companies. And then went from there to a national contractor, and then the national contractor. I'm like, it's either I do it or I don't do it. I was enjoying a really robust career. There's people that loved me, and there's people that are like envious. And I'm just like, okay, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now. So in 2000, at the end of 2004, I was getting ready to say, hey, I'm going to start this, and I'm going to go for it. And funny enough, when I was about to leave, one of my coordinators, I gave him the reference letter to get promoted within the company, where the bosses didn't even know that I recommend them to leave this division and go to another division. So they're like, "Zulq, don't leave until we get the official appointment and we accept it so that the transfer is happening." Because they knew if I left, they wouldn't have been transferred. They were stuck. So I'm like, okay, I'll hold on. I said, but I have a resignation letter right here. Like, I'm ready to leave. So funny enough, the very same day they asked me to leave the company because the tensions were high, um, the coordinators got their approvals to go to south of the border. They got to go work in Florida, unbeknownst to them. And I said, "Oh, great!" I go, "What's my severance package?" And they gave me a big fat severance because there was no cost to let me go. And they're like, "Yeah, well, just let's just part ways." I'm like, "Yeah, fantastic. Let's part ways." And then I said, "Go get me a certified check." They're like, "What?" I said, "I want a certified check. Give me a draft, certified check. We're good." They got me a certified check for my severance. I took that and go, "Great. By the way, here's been my resignation letter. I've been walking around with since December." And so I started my own company. But before I did that, I was going to take a break, and my dad passed away.
Hmm.
So my dad passed away April 20th, 2005, and my company was incorporated May 2005 that year, May 5th. And lo and behold, you stumble through it, and I eventually sold the name, and started winding it down as I started winding Smart Build up. So Smart Build today is which is what I run Smart Build. It's a construction technology focused company. We build solutions for the industry, whether you're a subcontractor, you're a design community, or you're a general contractor. But a lot of that is from the evolution and the experience that I had in construction over a very long period of time.
Yeah. I
Right,
mean, what made you decide to get out of the construction
construction.
management side?
A couple things. The catalyst was so we actually started building construction management tools back in 2007. So I had a bid management tool in 2007 that we were fully integrated with, which changed our estimating department completely. Just the speed, the functionality. We just got rid of 3 humans that weren't doing anything. So I got the itch. So I started building technology starting in 2007 and worked my way up. And we actually hired developers. We didn't hire a third party company. We ended up hiring developers and keeping them in house. We always built it with a commercial purpose. And what distracted me from doing it commercially was I was trying to be a dad. So I was late to the game for getting married. Tried to have a baby, couldn't happen. 7.5 years later, my daughter was born. That was the most exciting part of my pivot in my life. So when Zara was born, I'm like, I think I want time where I can spend more with her. In construction, it's a fantastic. I miss it. Like I won't lie to you, I miss going to the job site, touching, feeling, chatting with the guys, solving a problem because there's a logistics issue, there's a human issue, there's a design issue, there's a environmental issue. Like those are things that make me thrive. But it was just like I think it's time for a pivot. And you know what? The labor forces were changing in the industry. BC is no different than Toronto. There's a lot of work, not enough humans. And we're just saying, hey, what do we do? And at the time, there was one large leading contender in the technology space. I'll name it Procore. I don't really care. They did a great job marketing. They put a product in the market. They've evolved the market. They cultivated the product a little bit. And I'm like, when we compared ours against their, we're like, lots of room. So we just say, hey, 2019, I'm going to start making the shift. So we did a soft launch. And 2020, we all know what happened in the world. It kind of like stopped for a few days. And we're still recovering from that stoppage in a lot of ways. If you
Sure,
think about it, I think we'll
sure.
forever recover from it. And when
Yeah,
I already in my head, I was down, like I'm downsizing, and this hit hard. The industry hit hard, and I'm like, so I must have done something right in my previous life that the gods were pointing me in the right direction. Anyways,
yeah.
that's
So
what made me leave.
s oh, okay, I got you. You're starting to do that process, and that basically forced the
Force
thing.
the hand. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Percent. And then when we started selling our product, I would get that, well, you're our competition. I'm like, I've never been against you. Yeah, but you could. I'm like, but I don't want to. Right? Like, you don't bid the work I bid. I'm not going to change industries just because you're a client of mine. I'm like, well, it's confidentiality. But so we had to make a decision. Like the market was saying you can't be both.
Yeah.
Not in Toronto. Like I could sell my product outside of Toronto. And it wasn't until after COVID kind of lifted that I realized that the Canadian ecosystem around construction is a lot different than the American style, and
Okay. How so?
The Americans are more collaborative. far more collaborative. They're, hate to have to say this and admit this in this kind of climate. They're a lot more progressive in their thinking process in the sense that if they see a tool that's going to save them time or money, they're jumping in on it. And it was a really hard pill to swallow because very proud to be Canadian. Always said Canadians are smarter, right? We're better, right? Like you're almost, especially when you come out of engineering school, like you're really indoctrinated. And then I sat there and I reflect on the fact I'm like, yeah, they built the space shuttle and we built a shitty arm, and that typifies. And now we're going to go off on a complete tangent. You didn't want to hear this. I think the recent economic and political climate in the U.S. is going to help us start actually Canada's Renaissance period. Okay, this is a rebirth for Canada to reawaken and re-strategize how we're going to do what we do. And I think COVID was a kick in the derriere. Recent politics are a kick in the derriere. And we have to realize that we're now in a new renaissance period. And we're not just having renaissance from a trade perspective. We have a whole new workforce that wants to work differently.
Mm. Innovate, try new things.
They got to try new things. And companies that don't want to be innovative, I'll tell you what's going to happen to you, right? And innovation doesn't have to be complicated. Like I'm not, you're not going to have a robot doing the work for you on the job site, but you have to be open to the idea of what a robot can do and start thinking like if you were teaching a robot to do the job, right? So,
Yeah. Any difference between running a construction company and a tech company?
humans are humans, man. If you got humans involved, what do I say? Same shit, different file, different stink, still shit. No, there's a lot different. I will say this, and all the techies in the world are gonna get really mad, and the construction guys are gonna love me. I got to tell you that the construction ecosystem hell of a lot more resilient than the technology community. You've been in the background of being on this in the construction force. You get mad at a guy on construction site, and you can call him all kinds of explicitives. A little less now than you could 20 years ago, and they get it and they get the job done. Try raising your voice to a developer. They literally will curl up in the fetal position in a boardroom and cry, right? So when you come from that mindset, you have to readjust yourself. You're like, ooh. So it's a real different perspective that construction guys, we coined it. I'm on an association for suicide prevention for construction. It's called CISP. We want everyone to support the cause because I think they're trying to have a unified voice on the issues of mental health in construction. And we coined the term guys in construction are construction warriors. Like they go to battle every day with the weather, or with just the physicality of the work that they do. And then in technology space, like listen, if the power shuts off, you don't program. So good for you, right? So it's a different mindset, different humans.
Yeah. You had to learn to adapt styles.
100%. My like I when I'm mad, I go to Dairy Queen. I have a blizzard. When I was mad on a job site, something went flying across his face. Huge difference, right? When you're talking to them, you can use pejorative and explicitives on a job site. You can't in a boardroom setting. So it's not that we're rough and tough in the industry and the ecosystem. It's just that we have a subcult and a language that's perfectly acceptable when you're outside the office and in the field.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think that'll ever change?
I think it's going to soften. I think you're going to take off the hard edges and they're going to be a lot smoother. I started seeing that from the time I started to where we are today. I think that there's still going to be the persona of the what do you say, the machismo of being on a job site, right? I don't know that that's going to change in my life. So I hope it does. I really hope it does, because for all these tough guys that are out there, deep down, they're real human beings. I got to say, some of the nicest people I ever met were on construction sites, and I'm not a construction guy. I was a guy in the office, right? Like I have no calluses. So let's be very clear that I am not a field tradesman. I have a lot of respect for them because what they do, 98% of the population couldn't even try to do. Like, they may not have gone through an advanced degree in mathematics in university, but they know how to square up a building. And I want to see somebody who's got an advanced mathematics degree try to go in there and set up the walls so they're square. It takes a little bit of tricks, right? Even hoisting and rigging. You guys work on rooftops, right? You got to
Yeah.
be creative to hoist and rig onto a roof. It's not you just walk with a bunch of pails and you go up a bunch of stairs, right? Like it's not how it works.
Yeah, for
So they're
sure.
very creative human beings and very smart. So
Yeah.
um, yeah,
You,
it's
you
time
said,
will change it for sure.
yeah, you said, tough times getting your software company going initially, but you made it. What sort of adoption or what sort of things you sort of done to sort of get over that hump?
So, when we first rolled out technology in my company, I realized that there was resistance in my company. So we go in with a mindset that as a percentage of people that work in every corporation, they're going to resist it anyways. How do you overcome that resistance? We also take the voice of the individuals into our design consideration. I like to think our UI UX spanks everyone else's that's on the product on the market space. But more and we've told our developers, say, listen, go to a job site and see how information is being transcribed into a platform, right? And people think that mobile devices are friendly for people in the trades, and they're not. They're not friendly to the people in the trades. My two thumbs can't type, right? I can type on a computer screen, fantastic. So the mobile device wasn't designed for guys in the trades, and we're now adapting tools with AI to make that complication go away, right? So little things like that start to change their experiences. And our developer was on a job site, our very first product. I said, listen, go to a job site. This is before LTE, right? Go and see how they do it. And it was like in the middle of February when it's stone cold in Toronto. And he's like, oh, you can't be outside for more than 2 minutes. I said, well, then you better find a way that a daily report or an inspection report can be less than a minute. Because if it's not less than a minute, their fingers are gonna like just go numb, right? So little situations like that you start to think about it from that perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier something about you're talking to your friends and says, "Why am I working so hard?" Like, talk me through that.
I'm a proud dad of an 8-year-old. I see the world. So I just recently went to Italy. Got to see Italy. Like me and my wife wanted to go, but then we found out we were pregnant, so we had to kind of like kibosh that. I was resistant to go to Europe with an 8-year-old because the reality was this 8-year-old, like, yeah, we've traveled a lot, but when you're going to Europe, you're going to see history, you're going to see, architecture, you're going to see an established civilization, you're doing all this other stuff. It's not a go to Disneyland kind of vacation, which we do regularly. And I was resistant. I'm like, oh, how's she going to like it? But when we got there and we landed in Rome, we landed on the 15th, and on the 16th we went for cooking classes. We had decided to take a class on how to make gelato, how to make biscotti, and we just learned by dumb luck how to make tiramisu. And what ended up happening was she was like knee deep and immersed into it. Now she didn't just pick up cooking because we went to Italy. It's something we do at home all as a family. But I got to see the world through my 8-year-old's eyes. And for somebody who's 52, most people who are 52, their kids are in high school or finished high school. They're not looking at the world through an 8-year-old's eyes. So I experienced Europe through an 8-year-old's perspective. I had a fantastic trip. It was like if you said to me, Zolk, was that your ideal trip to Italy? I'd be like, no, because I would have been picking all Michelin star restaurants, and that's all I would have eaten. All right. But we had to take into consideration, say, we went on a tour group. Don't want to advertise for them, but we did Adventures by Disney because now it's already catered for children. But I saw, Rome, Venice, Tuscany region, and then Paris through the eyes of an 8-year-old. And you know what? She's only going to be 8 for another 6 months. Then she's going to be 9. Then she's going to be 10. And when she's 14, I think most people will agree she's probably not going to talk to daddy a lot, other than daddy can have some money. So I figured I got about 5 years roughly before I can experience the world through her eyes and then go back and experience it myself again. So I think we work a little too hard sometimes, and I'm fortunate that I can get up and do these things at this stage in my life. It's a lot different than when you're in your 20s and you have an 8-year-old. So I don't want to give up on that opportunity. So I hired a COO who is former Boston Consulting Group AI leader. We hired a chief of experience and marketing who comes from the Microsoft ecosystem. So I've hired some really deep talented individuals to take us A to the next level, and B shed some responsibilities for me as a principal of a company so that I could see the world through the eyes of my daughter.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I noticed your title is Chief Happiness Officer.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. I guess it has to be all the way around, right?
You're a senior individual in your universe and ecosystem. Your job is to keep everyone in the whole sphere happy, whether it's your customers, your staff, your senior management team, the accounting department, your bank, your lawyer. Everyone's got to be happy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? If I'm so busy making everybody happy, I might as well just a happiness officer because my job as a senior leader is not to physically do stuff, but to keep the emotional side moving so that there's no impediments that stop them emotionally from doing the best that they can.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you had to start a company or a business again, would you do anything different?
I take some inspiration from Blow, the movie by Johnny Depp.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, actually, I've absolutely loved my trajectory. I encourage anyone that's young that's listening to this. Construction's an awesome place to be. You learn a lot, you see a lot, you get involved in a lot. You're shaping the way your topography and the geography of your city is going to look. And, I think there's nothing more gratifying than when you drive by and say, I was involved with that project, right? And we're involved at different levels. I have the utmost respect for subcontractors because at the end of the day, I don't do squat, they do it all. So, people have put their hands and their imprints. Like not all of us get to put our handprint on the concrete, but there's a bunch of hands and a lot of fingers involved with making sure concrete gets poured, walls get painted, roofs get laid, siding gets put up. Like, there's a lot of people that put their fingers and their sweat into putting that building together for us, and that's just an awesome experience.